Going to tie a new fly for you today that I've been working on. It's called a Sunny Dragon. It's a real fun fly to tie. Real quick. Not very many materials. Came up with the name because of the main material in this fly is this sea dragon dubbing. And this dubbing, you can kind of see in here, it's got a lot of these micro rubber legs in there, some different colors that are in the blend of the synthetic material, different lengths of rubber. We're going to tie that in a dubbing loop and just wind it on. But it's a really cool material. This Sea Dragon dubbing is from the Fly Tier's Dungeon. He kind of comes up and creates his own materials, but it's really been really cool for a lot of flies. I've been using it on a few, but this is one I really like. It comes in about 23 different colors, so you should be able to tie this fly in any color you like. I like this chartreuse, but today we're going to tie it in a kind of a contrasting color, this orange and black, just so it really shows up well on the video. We're going to start with a Mustad 3366 hook. I have a bright brass or gold bead on here. I've already put that on. When I'm doing the beads, a bead head, I don't really like the bead head flopping around a lot. My materials tend to get under here and it's hard to control when I'm finishing off. So I'm going to take some 30 thou lead wire. You can use lead free if you want. I'm going to take 2 or 3 wraps around, just take and break it off with my fingernail there, and then take and kind of finish bunching that up and push it underneath the bead. Break that little piece off there, and that's going to kind of stabilize that bead and keep my materials from going underneath there. I'm going to take my thread, kind of attach from behind the bead, tie all the way to the bend, tighten up my vise a little bit, come back up to the front, snip that off. I'm going to use some just silver holographic tinsel for the tail, just 3 or 4 pieces. We don't need a lot here, just a little bit of flash in the tail. So what I like to do when I tie is I love to tie from the front to the back. That way I can control my materials, and you'll see that as we go here. But I'm also going to take and my material that I'm using for the tail is already cut to the length I want. And it doesn't have to be, you can trim it up. But what I'm going to do is it's basically I use half as much and twice as long. So I'm going to fold it over the thread, kind of even out the tips, and then I can take and wind that in, and it does a couple things. Number one, it really secures that material, and that material isn't going to pull out. And winding from the front to the back, now I get to control my material. If I want it on the side, I can move it over on the side. If I want it on the top, I can do that rather than trying to tie from the back up, and then you always have all these loose ends that you're trying to wind in. So we're just going to wind that to the back, just like that. Come in. I might do another wrap over just to make sure that everything's kind of covered up. Then we're going to do a dubbing loop. So I'm going to take and make a wrap around. We're going to come around the thread and back around the hook, and that closes that dubbing loop up. So now the material will stay in there. If you don't do that and the thread is over the top of the hook, it's hard to show, but it'll be open and you'll have a gap and it'll be hard for that material to get captured in. For this demo, I'm going to use a dubbing tray so that I can show you how I'm laying that material in and how it's going into this dubbing loop. So I'll get that in position there. And what that is I've got one piece of thread on the bottom that lays on the tray and one piece that's up in the air on a little hook here. I can zoom out. I think that might show up. And then that way you can kind of see there that this is open. So now I'm going to take my dubbing material and we're going to take some out, and I can just push it in this loop and position it right where I want. I love these dubbing trays for this, especially if I'm using a lot of really buggy material and I want to control. Maybe I want to add different colors, or I'm having trouble with it falling off. So we're just going to build our little, it's going to be our dubbing loop or rope once it gets done, but we're just going to push those materials in. Okay, so that's our body. So now I just kind of take this piece of thread off and lay it on top, take my dubbing spinner and give it a spin, and then if I move the tray out, you'll see it spin around. And give it another couple spins here, spin that up, and there's our dubbing loop. Kind of pick that material out. Now see, you can see how bushy that is. So now I'll just start to wind that on. Whoop, move my thread to the front. And as I wind it forward, I'm going to stroke that material back because I want to keep it as bushy as I can. Refocus here. I'll maybe stay out a little bit. There. So now, as I'm winding forward, you can see that this body, just keep brushing it, working my way forward. You can see this body taking shape to right behind the head. I'll get one more wrap in there. Now we're going to take and wind that in. If you didn't have enough material in there, maybe you know you're not used to a dubbing loop or something, and you stop short, you should be able to just unspin your dubbing loop. I'll go the right way, and then let it open up again, and then you can put more material in and keep working forward. So we'll cut that off, come in, wind the head, couple wraps around there, finish that off. Oh, get that material out of there. And there's our fly. It's pretty much done. There's a lot of this material you can see, and you'll have some of the fibers come out, but that's fine. But that's your fly. They're secure in there. You can leave them the rubber as long as you want. You know, you can see I've got some real long pieces here, and that just kind of adds to the look and the motion of this. So real simple fly to tie. We've got our crystal flash tail, we've got our dub body with our bead head, and that's it. So we'll put the other one back in, the chartreuse one. You can do different color tails. You can use some red crystal flash for the tail. You can use that. Like I say, there's 23 different colors of this sea dragon dubbing, so you should have a lot to choose from. Whether the sunfish in your lake like chartreuse, maybe they like red better, maybe a blue, but it's a real quick and easy fly to tie. Pretty fun, and I think it's going to be a new favorite for fishing for panfish, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.